This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good evening and welcome to We the People. The national outrage over the Ruchika Girotra case may have finally moved the hand of justice, but it's also raised a much more fundamental question. What exactly is our attitude as a society to women and the issue of molestation? Isn't it true that young women who travel by public transport, buses or local trains almost on a daily basis get pawed and mauled, and it's almost treated as part of growing up in India? Have we, in a sense, stopped getting angry over what is so archaically described as Eve teasing? How do you deal with the story of somebody called KPS Gill, who on the one hand is feted as a super cop, but who on the other hand has been convicted of sexual misconduct? On the program today, we debate, does India in fact have a chalta hai attitude to molestation? Isn't it true that every time you hear that a girl's been molested, it's crass, but you almost immediately think or ask, but what exactly did the guy do? Are you sure the girls are not making too big a deal? But you can, of course, log on to our website and post your comments there as well. It's ndtv.com/wethepeople. And if you prefer, you can also tweet your comments. My Twitter handles @bdat. Let's get straight into the panel with a regular favorite on this program, Khushbu. Khushbu, there are two things about what you represent. One, you represent in an industry where there's often an assumption that women who act are somehow more fair game for a whole lot of other things that other women are not. And two, you've actually experienced this in your own city of stepping out onto the street and dealing with the kind of abuse that many women go through on the streets every day. Tell us about that experience.
Last year when a very, very veteran actor, Mr. Nagesh, passed away, and I was there at the funeral. And as they were taking away his body, somebody tried to feel my bottom, but my instant reaction was to turn around, catch hold of that guy and hit him hard. So I think that's one attitude which every woman, if I wanted, I could have just left it, because
you could have ignored it and said,
not only hota hai, I think every woman should have this instant reaction to turn around, not take any kind of nonsense, even if it's pinching your bottom or somebody trying to brush against you. Every issue has to be dealt with it in a very, very strong manner.
And how did other people around you respond? Because there are a whole lot of people, and I've heard this, and I know every young girl in this studio would have heard it at some point. You should have just let it go. These things happen.
Surprisingly, there were a lot of women who were there on the streets. They came up and they hit this guy. And they said, don't you have any manners how to behave with a woman? The guys had that attitude. Why make such a hue and cry in public? Like you rightly said, there is an attitude where people say that, अरे चलता है छोड़ दो ना, वो तो रोज होता रहता है, रोज चलता रहता है. That kind of an attitude is definitely very much around.
Kawaljeet Deol, how does a police officer, in a sense, deal with this? Because, you know, you have this archaic law which also talks about all of this in terms of a woman's modesty. As if a woman has to be modest to have the right to be treated with a certain respect. It would be very difficult to, in fact, work up a sense of outrage over it.
As far as the law is concerned, you know, the law is, when we got the law in 1860, you have to see from which perspective the law was made. You know, it is not at all a woman's perspective, it is not a girl's perspective. But however, the law does have a punishment, and a punishment for 2 years for brushing against...
Up to 2 years. Yeah. I mean, in Ruchika's case, it ended up being 6 months. But
yeah, but then after that, whether, right from the beginning, whether she's going to complain, 90% of the women will not complain. As we said, the attitude is. And then after that, there has to be an investigation, there has to be a prosecution, there has to be eventually a conviction. So all the attitudes all along the way, largely male attitudes, are of the chalta hai variety.
Tuba.com